Hello.
Welcome to the June Coachathon, and we're finally gonna be able to find some time to talk about money tonight. So this is an interactive group session where the audience needs to participate for you to get value from the content that's delivered tonight. And to those of you that are off camera, that is fine. I totally understand. And also those of you who are not able to get on their microphone, that's fine, but you're going to have to probably participate using the chat so that the questions I ask, you can put the answers in the chat or make your discussion questions or anything that you have to say, unless you want to come off mic and speak on mic. That's perfectly fine. So I see Marcy left. She might be having some connection problems. She's on a mobile device and she might have just pushed the wrong button. We never know. You never know what happens with our mobile devices, right, guys? So I'm going to get started. So we're talking money mindset tonight. And so the things that I want to bring to your attention is the first thing that I have to ask is, when you were growing up, what message did your parents leave with you as a child? For example, when it comes to when there was something that you wanted, did they ever use the language of, we can't afford that, or we don't have the money for that? Or did you hear the parents discussing their finances? And you could just put yes or no over in the chat if you don't want to come off mic, or if you do have something you want to share with us, feel free to unmute yourself and come on board here. Marcy says no. Sandra says money was scarce. I'm second to the oldest of 10 children, so I don't really remember my mom and dad ever talking about finances. I do remember that we had one bicycle that we had to share. So it was kind of like we learned how to share things. We had hand-me-downs, being one of the older ones. Our clothing wasn't always brand new. It could have come from a cousin or something like that. But a lot of our clothing was hand-me-downs during the times that I was home. Of course, the youngest in the family was 4 years old when I left home. So there was still a lot of family members growing up when I left home at the age of 18. Amy says she can't hear. Well, Amy, I guess you just need to go to the audio settings. I don't know if you're on a computer or if you're on your mobile device, and check your microphone, check your communications, check your speakers, and see if there's a change that you can make on the speaker area. Do you want to try that? Or do you want to come on microphone and tell us, maybe just test that to see if we could even hear you if you did come on microphone? Because according to the room, everything is working. And did you give your computer permission when you came in? Did you allow audio on your browser? So it just depends. Sometimes when we do the reset of our cache on our computers, like mine will do it once a week, then I have to reset all my settings on my browser when I'm on virtual meeting rooms. So check that and see if that works, and let us know in the chat there, Amy. Okay. So, but one of the things about us when we've had conversations or overheard conversations of our parents. It affects us. Um, yeah, Alejandro, can you mute yourself?
Sure thing.
And so it does affect the thoughts, the mindset that we have about money. And today, this meeting is not going to be about judgment, it's not going to be about comparison, but rather it'll be more about self reflection, learning, and growth. And by sharing our experiences and our insights, we can gain valuable perspectives and support each other on our financial journey. But understanding your individual relationship with money involves various aspects of your beliefs, your attitudes, your behaviors, your emotions related to finances. And as I was speaking a minute ago, and I asked that question about growing up, did you remember your parents ever saying, when you asked for something or overhearing them talking about their finances, that they couldn't afford this or they couldn't afford that, or they told you no because they couldn't afford it? And if you want to put in the chat yes or no or whatever the case may be, that actually does have an effect on how we work with money today and how we feel about our money situation today. Um, and then the things that affect us, the areas that we need to take a look at when we talk about our money mindset is our financial values, our spending habits. Um, do we save, and are we earning interest on our savings? What are we doing about our debt management, or how are we managing our debt? Are we paying attention to the emotional triggers that are related to money? What about the family and cultural influences? And again, that's the one thing that I've already touched upon, is if there were some issues as a child growing up, there's chances that you're going to have struggles with your money. What about financial goals? Have you always or ever been taught how to set a financial goal? And do you do that on a consistent basis? What about your self awareness and reflection? Have you taken time to become aware of how you feel about money, and do you reflect on it? And what about support? Do you seek support? Have you been seeking support? Are you interested in seeking support? And Marcy said her parents rarely said no. That's good, Marcy. So let's get started with right now. What is your mindset concerning your experience about money? After you leave home and you start earning your own income, do you take time to actually look at your finances? Now, when we talk about our income statement, you know, money comes in, money goes out. Are you paying attention to the way your money's coming in? Do you have yourself set up on a budget? Have you just thought about doing a budget and just keep putting it off? Do you know what your expenses are? How many of you have actually been in the habit of creating a budget every quarter, or maybe once a year, or maybe at the end of the year after you've done all your income taxes and you've got a little money left over, and you decide that you've already decided what you were going to do with your income tax return? Have you set up a goal or a budget for the upcoming year, broke it out into a quarter, which is every 3 months, and reevaluate it? Do you have any um, home improvement opportunities that you want to do in your home over a certain period of time? And are you able to have the funds that you need to be able to cover those issues? Or do you have an emergency fund? So if you can put in the chat there, yes, I have an emergency fund, or no, I don't have an emergency fund, or never thought about it, or Marcy says yes, and I am currently saving for a dress for my hubby's daughter's wedding. So Marcy is being very money responsible, let's put it that way. So let's take a look at what about your values? And when we talk about your financial values, can you put in the chat, why do you work? Why do you earn money? Do you have any specific reasons of why you're doing that? And if you want to drop that in the chat, then we can look at that. Or you can come on, Mike, and talk about it and discuss the idea of, why do I work? Why do I need money? What's driving me to work? Amy says, because horses are expensive. Yes, Amy has an expensive hobby, horses. What about to feed my family, to clothe my family, to take care of my family? What are your thoughts when you're earning that income? And it's important that we understand and look at our financial values. Are you a slave to money? Do you dread getting up every day to go to work because you know you've got to bring that paycheck home to keep the lights on? Are you doing it because you want to be like the next door neighbors? You want to move into the high society neighborhood? Do you do it because you just need a little extra money for special occasions? You're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, so you really don't um, feel peaceful about the amount of money you're earning because it doesn't cover the bills. Do you have a desire to help others? Do you want to earn a paycheck so that you can help others and serve others? I see Alejandro's having trouble coming in and going out. Not sure what's going on. If he's on a computer or a mobile device. Maybe he's got a bad connection. I know he's in New York and he sometimes has a bad connection. Sandra says, cover living expenses and enjoy her hobbies, all of the above. Okay. So what about your spending and saving habits? Our life can look like we're living in our income statement, where money comes in and money goes out. But then what happens? We start to build debt. So our liabilities start to grow. And then our assets don't seem to cover our liabilities. And then we're living like paycheck to paycheck, where what happens if somebody gets sick and they can't work and they can't bring that money in? Do you have a fear of money that is in your subconscious and it seems to take over when there is a money issue? Do you have the fear that you won't have enough money at the end of the month? Or do you have a fear that the money's going to be taken away from you? Yeah, I know that, Marcy. That's why they highly recommend using a computer for this platform. And I was very grateful that you were able to test it out for me. And I don't want to move this meeting back over to Zoom, but if I have to, I guess I will for future sessions. But I thank you though for testing, because you have to have a strong Wi-Fi or a strong connection for this meeting room. So when we're looking at the money mindset and reflecting on your mindset towards money. And if you can see it as a tool for achieving your goals and your security, you have to just be careful that you don't have any negative associations with it, because your mindset will influence how you approach earning, spending, and how you approach saving your money. And today, we would just like to open that door for you to be conscious of how you feel and react when there's money situations going on in your life. Um, Sandra says, not at the end of the month, but over time, cost of living outpacing returns. Yes, yes, Sandra, that is so true. And that's why it's important that we set ourselves up on a budget that actually has money going into some form of a savings account for those times when prices start to rise again, groceries start going up again, and reviewing our daily habits where we might have to cut out that Starbucks coffee, maybe bring it down to once a week instead of 5 days a week, or find other areas in our life that it's just a luxury and we just need to cut down on that, or figure out a way to bring more money into our money belt. Um, but if we're not aware and then we get caught with a short week or short month and now we're scrambling to make up for it, that's one of the things that you want to avoid. Now, when we talked about your financial values, you want to identify your core financial values. And like I had stated earlier, what do you prioritize when it comes to money? Is it security? Is it freedom? Is it expenses? Or is it something else? Do you understand your financial values? Do they align with your financial decisions, with what truly matters to you? And so, with that, your financial values and how you feel about the money is making sure that you are doing what you need to do to commit to putting money away, putting money aside, and getting yourself balanced out so that you have peaceful mindset over where your money goes when it comes in. One thing that I do is I have everything laid out that I have to pay out every month, and I know when it goes out every month, and I know exactly how much money I have to have in my bank account to cover all of those expenditures. And I have money going into a savings account for everything else that I don't need to live off from. So I have money always going somewhere that's earning an interest, and then just keeping my expense money in a bank account that just comes in and goes out and comes in and goes out. So I'm not stuck with no money at the end of the month, because there's always money going into the other account and I can always move it over very quickly. But we have to get ourselves into that mental attitude of making sure that we're practicing good spending habits. So again, we need to be constantly examining our spending habits. Um, are we spending money needlessly? Are we just spending money because I have money in the bank account and I have to spend it. I have to. I can't go without spending my money, and haven't been able to be disciplined enough to respect and have respect for our money, to be able to use it the way that we need to use it to survive and live a good life, and have money that when I really, really need it, now I don't have to sit there and say, dang, I wish I hadn't bought that TV last month. I could have used that money this month. Well, did you need the new TV? Or was that just a want? So we also want to be very cautious to make sure that we're just not funneling money into our desires rather than our needs, and making sure that we're living a good life of joy and peace and love without all that anxiety of coming up short at the end of the month. Now, savings and interests. How many of you do have a savings account that you put money in every month or every paycheck? Are you being consistent with doing that? Do you have assets that you've purchased that are making money for you? And that is one thing that a lot of people don't really think about, getting our money working for us rather than us working for the money. And again, there's a lot of people out there that say if you've got extra money that you can actually invest in real estate, it's a good turnaround. But again, the problem with real estate is if you're not paying attention and watching what's going on, like what happened back in 2008 when the real estate market crashed and a lot of people lost their homes, a lot of people lost their jobs, and so you have to be very careful that you're actually watching and paying attention to what's going on in whatever the asset is that you're trying to invest in or participate in to help bring in some extra money for your investments so that your assets can be growing. So a lot of people are investing in the stock market, and if you're doing that, are you sure that you're investing in something that is safe, something that you're going to not necessarily lose money in? You never know, but you want to make sure you're doing your homework. And again, we talked a little bit about debt management. Do you carry a lot of debt? Or are you setting a goal to be debt free? That should be everyone's goal, is to not be paying credit card debt. Credit card debt is unsecured debt. And when you're using your credit cards, are you using your credit card because you didn't have the money to buy whatever it is you want because you wanted it? And now you're paying on a credit card, so you're paying extra interest, or you couldn't get a loan to buy whatever it was that you needed. So now you're paying, it's costing you more money for that item because now you have to pay the interest rate on that credit card if you're not paying that credit card off. Now, like me, I use my credit card. I don't carry cash. I use my credit card to buy my groceries, get my gas, everything that I need to live on, and then I pay it every month. I pay it off every month. So I know how much money is going on that credit card every month because I know what my monthly expenses are, and I know I have the money, and I pay it off every single month. And so credit cards can be a good tool to use if you use them wisely. But a lot of times people get involved with credit cards where I have to have it. I don't have the money. I got no choice. I'm going to have to use a credit card because I can't go to the bank and get an interest loan that would be lower rate than that credit card. If you can go to the bank and get a loan, do that. Don't use your credit card. So how are you using your credit cards? Are you living on your credit cards? Is your credit card debt more than your um, everyday expenses? Is it more than your car loan? How much credit card debt do you have? Do you have a plan to reduce that credit card debt? And we talked a little bit now about the emotional triggers again too. Do you pay attention to how you are feeling when you're spending money? Even like going to the grocery store, a lot of times when I go to the grocery store, I try to always go after I've had something to eat. They always say don't ever go to the grocery store hungry because you're going to come home with more groceries than you intended to purchase when you went in there and spend more money than you wanted to. And that is so true. But there's often times when I'll be in that grocery store and I'll be looking at that $18 a pound steak, on the shelf, and I'm going, yeah, that looks really, really good, but do I need to have an $18 a pound steak, or can I get by with this $7 chicken that I can take home and cook and have for 2 or 3 days? So we have to just sometimes pay attention to our emotional state and spend our money wisely and not comfort ourselves with our spending. What about you? Are you an emotional spender? Do some people they have a trauma or something happen in their life, and what do? Instead of going to the bar and getting drunk, they just go out and spend money. So, how are you deciding what to do when a trauma comes about you? Does it involve money? If it does, maybe you want to check on that and pay more attention to that behavior and see what you should be doing about it. Do you have someone you can talk to about that? Do you have a family member that you can honestly talk about the anxiety or the emotional baggage that you might be carrying when it comes to money, and talk it out? Because again, the family and cultural influences do affect our feelings about money and the way that we live our life. And if we hadn't paid attention to that, there could be something from your childhood that's impacting you today that you might want to pay attention to. And again, make sure that you're setting good financial goals. Set some short term goals, set some long term goals. Challenge yourself, challenge the children, challenge the family to learn how to put a penny away a day or a nickel away a week or whatever it is. Put something away and watch it grow. Because as you just take a small amount and put it into a fund every single day and leave it alone, it's going to grow. And as you watch it grow, you'll be amazed at how fast you can increase your bank account. Um, so, understanding your individual relationship with money is an ongoing process that requires self reflection, learning, and adaptation. And by gaining insight into your financial mindset, habits, and goals, you can cultivate a healthier and more empowering relationship with money. So, with that said, does anyone here have anything they would like to share with us about their um, emotional connection to money, or how they feel about money, or that they've never thought about it before? And Amy says, retail therapy. Yeah, retail therapy cannot be a good thing um, unless you got a big bank account and you can afford to spend that money. And again, God created us to be good stewards, and He owns everything. And even our money belongs to Him, our homes belong to Him. And if we're not good stewards of what He gives us, sometimes He can just take it away from us, and then we don't have it anymore. So, anybody have anything they want to share with us tonight? Alejandro, you're new to this room. There's a toolbar at the very bottom of the screen where there's a microphone. You can click on it. It probably has a line through it if you want to come off microphone, or you can click
Yeah,
on the. Okay.
yeah. I think I got on a previous event you had on Be Connected with you. I
No,
think
you've
it
never
was
been in this room before, ever. This room's only been live since about the middle of May.
we had a mindset, one of our mastermind group meeting on this.
That's not the same room. It's not the same.
Oh, but it's still Be Connected though, right?
It's Be Connected, but it's not
Okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
same
So not
platform.
not
Yeah,
not
it's
this room. I
different.
was I was
Yeah.
thinking about the
Yeah, so it's
mastermind.
the toolbar is different, and the functions are different from that room. So
Nice. I'm planning
okay,
on joining actually. But anyway, as far as money, MJ, I've never really had a good relationship with it. Um, Again, I'm knowledgeable. I'm aware of some things, but it all has defaulted to the money coming in and using my debit card for everything. I want to get going with a credit card again, like you said, because that would build my credit. So I can see the benefit when you said that you live off your credit card and you just make sure you pay it. That
I pay
way,
it every month. Yeah, I
right,
use it instead of carrying cash or writing checks.
right. So
That's what I
I'm
do.
thinking that would give my bank account a rest because that's really all I use. And my credit isn't that good. Isn't that good? Well, it's not good, period. But I want to get back on that. I want to get back on that journey again. I was doing great at one time,
Yeah,
but for the past Ooh, scary. For the past 10 years, I think it's all about my paycheck hitting my checking account and then doing all of my shopping and all my bill paying right from there. And that has led to just the misery of just watching that check go down to nothing, realizing, oh my God, I got another week and a half to go before I get paid again. And that's my reality. That's why
Yeah,
I got on when you said you were going to talk about money.
yeah,
Well, that's not why. You know, I normally do something today and I happen to be off. That's
yeah,
been rescheduled for
yeah,
next week. So I was like, hey, you can jump on with MJ today.
yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. Well, Alejandro, the number one thing though that needs to happen is you have to set up a budget. You have to know how much your rent is, your utilities, your gas if you're driving, or if you're using public transportation, how much are you spending every month on your public transportation? How much money do you usually spend every week on groceries? If you don't have that broken down where you can actually look at it and see what it is, you don't know where you're at. And that's why at the end of the paycheck, you've got more going out than you got coming in. And that's where people run into trouble. But if you can just commit to yourself to start laying out a budget and knowing exactly how much money you spend every week and set up a monthly budget and say, okay, I earn $5,000 a month and I have $3,000 worth of expenses. So when my check comes to my bank account, I'm automatically going to send $1,000 over to a savings account. Automatically have it set up automatically in your bank account so that you know you've got money going into a savings account. You don't look at it, you don't pay attention to it, you don't even open the savings account. You just know that money's going somewhere and I'm not touching it, so that if something should happen, whether it be an emergency at home or something breaks down that you got to get repaired, hopefully you have enough money in that savings account to cover it, so you don't have to put that on a credit card. Now you're making monthly payments and paying interest on that repair that you could have paid for with cash. And you know how much money you have left at the end of the paycheck because it's over in that savings account. But I highly recommend that you do that and get started with that, and
Um,
so that you can pay attention to where it is, where it's going.
Thank you for giving me the basics, MJ. Truth is, I have like a phobia about pre-budgeting because I can see the money go. I have to get it together with what you said though. That's
But you got to know, and the thing is, you don't know
I don't know. So I go
exactly.
at it
You
blindly,
need
and
to
as
know.
I'm doing it, um, then life happens, right? And then I got to do this little. Then that destroys the whole budget, really. And
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
but that well, you're recording this.
Yes.
The initial thing you said, which is to set the budget in advance,
Oh yeah, always. Yeah,
is
you
something
you
that
know, you know, you know whatever money you got coming in. That's a given. But if you don't know what's going out, that's what's hurting you.
big time.
You
And it's
know.
a simple thing. I'm gonna put myself up to the test for the check coming up for the middle of this month
Mhm.
to pre-budget. And there's a side in my brain that says you need to figure out everything that's coming out, and another voice just ignores it. Oh no, just handle it when it comes, which is the worst thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Money is energy, and if you allow it to have the power like that, where you don't need to worry about what you're spending, now you've already lost the game. You've already lost. You've got to take the power. You need to have that power. You're the one doing the work, earning the income. You need to take the power and let the money work for you and
You're
have
absolutely right.
control over it. Yeah.
I'm dying here with this whole money game right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the next thing something's happening where the only way out is bankruptcy. And that's not a nice place to be. It's not a nice place at all to be. Can't sleep at night, not sleeping good, all concerned and worried, even though you're not paying attention. it's still a worry and a burden on you, and you don't need to have to carry that. But that's the best thing to do is get it down on paper so you know, because you've got to know what you don't know. And once you know what you know, now you can start taking action and put a plan into place to make sure that it happens. I have a Discover credit card, and I also have a Discover bank account, and I have a Discover savings account. And my Discover savings account is earning over 4% interest. So, when I have money and I transfer money, I drop money into that savings account all the time. I have money going in there every month. And then I just run my credit card for my daily activities, and I pay off my credit card, and my utilities comes out of my bank account automatically. I know on average what my monthly utility bill is going to be, and it comes out automatically. Of course, my house is paid for, so I don't have to worry about a mortgage payment. But when I did have a mortgage payment, I always allocated $50 more a month than what my house payment was, and I was able to pay off my house 10 years early, just by doing $50 a month extra on the mortgage. So but I just pretended that my mortgage was more than it actually was, and that's what I put in my budget, and that's what I put when I paid the check, when I wrote the monthly bill. That's what I paid, was the amount of money that I decided I was going to pay on the house, and not what the bank was saying I had to pay. So, and it feels good because it doesn't take long for things to start really changing and turning around when you know what you've got and what you don't have, and then you use your money wisely. You say no to that expense that you want, that you don't need, until you can get yourself under control. So that's what I would highly recommend. Anybody else have any thoughts or any aha moments? Or I know Amy's really good about doing up her budgets and planning and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if Amy found anything tonight that um, maybe ticked a little something that says, maybe you need to be putting a little more into the savings account, or looking into assets, or reducing the home mortgage, or whatever it is, car payment. My car, too, I paid my car off early, just a little tiny bit every month really makes a big difference. Amy says she totally relates to Alejandro, but she has a spreadsheet that she checks monthly, and she has part of her paycheck allocated to a savings account. Yeah, like I do. Yeah, I have everything on a spreadsheet as well too. And so that every month, sometimes, I'll have to go back. And now lately, my utility bill has been running pretty close to the same. But when I set up my budget, I set up the highest amount that my utility bill would be for an over an average, so that I know I'm always going to have enough money there to cover the months when the utilities are a little bit higher than others, because of, winter, the heat's running, summer, the air conditioner's running. And now I'm trying to help a friend of mine get to her doctor's appointment. So now I've got to put more money into my gas fund, because I'm spending more gas money taking her to her doctor's appointments and getting her home and stuff too. So, but if you're not paying attention to that, it can get away from you really, really fast, and then you're in big trouble. Okay. Well, if nobody else has anything, Alejandro, I'm not sure. I think I'll check and see if you're in the group coachathon group, the monthly group coachathon. Yeah, I'm not
I
sure if
am.
you are or not,
I am.
but I'll invite you to it, because that's where I put the replays for these.
Yeah. I should be there, MJ, unless you took me out over time.
I'm not sure, because I started that like the end of last year, is when I actually created a group. It's a simple group. It's not a fancy group, so
Well,
that
I
I could.
I get notifications from you on the on Messenger. I get to see when you interact. I saw it today too.
Yeah, I
Uh,
have a group messenger chat that I do everything in, and then I have an actual group, Facebook group, where I actually put the
oh,
replays
okay. All right.
so that people can come and watch the replays. Um, and
I
I
might
put them
not be.
on
I might not
YouTube.
be on that. So if you could add
Yeah,
me
I
to that,
don't
that
think
would
you
be
are
great.
either, but I can invite you. And
Okay.
then I put them on YouTube too, so they're accessible on YouTube. So.
I wanted to ask you. Do you recommend any books or any apps to help us with our budgeting? Like I used Wine app, but again, I had it for a while. I did get on it, started reading about budgeting, and of course, I stopped.
Yeah.
And after doing a yearly subscription, I think I only hit it for like 2 or 3 months, but it was heading me in the right direction.
Hmm.
Well, any resources you recommend, that
Hmm.
would be great. I'm going to take the biggest piece of information you've given today, which is, and I'm aware of it. It's just that I have to take action. That is to lay out everything that's coming out and stop thinking
Yeah,
that miraculously it's going to get paid somehow.
yeah, and for you to get started, I don't know of an app that will help you with that because you've got to know where your money's going, and if you're uh, spending money during the day and you've got receipts, you need to keep those receipts so that you can record them. You know, even if you went to fast food restaurant, keep that receipt. Or stop for a cup of coffee, keep that receipt just to get started so that you know, because it's so easy to spend money that you're spending out of your pocket or even with a debit card if you don't have that receipt so you can record it, because before you know it, and you go to look at your budget, you go, man, I spent $150 this month on a fast
Oh,
food or on coffee or whatever it is. You got to know that. And knowing it, now you're aware of it.
it
And
has
if
crossed my mind to
you,
keep a record of things that I spend,
yeah,
but then I'm like, what's the point of that? Just keep a
that's the
record of it.
point. So you
But you're
know
saying
how much,
take the time, make an assessment. Oh wow, look at this. I'm spending this. So that way I can, I guess at the end of those sessions, I guess it's just you can't really assess yourself until after the month is over. So I guess it's powerful to take that time to see what your buying habits are. So you're saying yes, keep record of those receipts, and it will be purposeful as long as I take that time at the end of the month to see how that's being spent. Now I can say, okay, I got to cut back on this. This is not, I got to take this out or lower it.
yeah, or be mindful of it. And you don't
Because,
necessarily have to wait till the end of the month. If you're using a debit card, I'm sure that your bank statement records all the money that you're spending, and you can go to that statement and look at it. And if it's got the name of the vendor that you spent the money at, you'll know if it's fast food or if it's a hardware store or whatever it is. If you want to just take a peek at it and then just start like right away recording everything you're spending, and have a box or an envelope or something to be able to throw your receipts into, so that when you go to sit down and start recording what you're spending, you got those receipts. So, but Amy wants to speak. So go ahead, Amy.
So like I say, I totally relate to this, and I think like Margine, we've probably talked about this different times over the whatever course of time. I've had to learn it's a matter of, like getting just real with myself. And I went through the same thing like I did, same thing with my health and weight management and stuff like that, until I like literally sit and face it, and just it's that getting real, putting that pen to paper, and seeing like, holy cow, did I do that? It's it's really eye opening, and it's crazy, and I'm huge on the retail therapy. It can be $2 or it can be $200. It doesn't matter, but that just feels so good when I'm in a sad mood or something. So I mean, I totally relate, and I've definitely had ups and downs with my management over the years, over my adult life.
Yeah, but Dave Ramsey, I think, has some really good content, and I think that he might even have some YouTube videos that you could watch or listen to. But I know that he does have a book where he does teach finances. Um, but because I'm an accountant, I just use a good old spreadsheet and just record. I know the difference between spending money foolishly and actually having to pay a car payment, and I know that money's got to be priority. So then once you've listed out all where you're spending your money, then you can break it down to the importance of it and make sure that the things that you have to take care of, the utility bill, the garbage bill, the car payment, the fuel in the car, the lawnmower, the gasoline in the lawnmower, the things that you have to make sure that you're getting that are being paid, and then look at where you're spending the extra money that you can start cutting back. And it's not like you're punishing yourself. It's just you see the true picture, and then you realize, you know what? I really don't need to do that. I don't need to spend that money over at Starbucks or wherever that was. I don't need that new fancy new TV. The TV we have is working fine. Everything's going to be okay. I don't need that new radio. We don't need to have a radio playing in the house. We've got our phone or whatever the case may be, and just put that off so that you can start knocking the debt down and getting yourself on top of the money instead of underneath it. So, but you
I
got to
was
start
I was,
somewhere.
I was going to add to that. It is possible to say, okay, I want that TV, and if you're good budget wise, you could start preparing a small fund where you're putting in, and that requires discipline. I mean, I've tried it, and the first minute an emergency happens, where am I tapping? Boom, I go and hit that. So, but
Yeah.
I totally agree. You don't have to. But that app, Wine app, talks about that, and it says, okay, you just have to have this discipline to put the fund away. You can always assess the fact that it's going to take 9 months of saving $30 to do it, and have the discipline to keep that. And then when you're ready to do it, it's the joy of saying, I got the money. Yay, I'm going to get that luxury because I finally budgeted it and kept
Mm-hmm.
working it. But
Exactly.
I totally get what you mean, MJ. It's that gotta have that no frills approach about some things. Like essentially, what do I need to survive?
Yeah. But I think the number one thing is giving yourself permission to be honest with yourself and not be judgmental. Just be honest. This is the way it is. This is what's going on, and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get myself moving everything in the right place, in the right direction. And then you've got something to celebrate.
Sounds great, MJ. I'm doing a time management system now, and it's funny.
Huh.
There's some similarities between what you're saying
Mhm.
and that time management system.
Mhm. Yeah.
How you
You
have to
can't
assess.
manage time, Alejandro, but
Yeah,
you can manage your activities. So now start to manage your money. That feels better, doesn't it?
facts. I need Coach MJ in my life.
Yeah. Just, turn the language around to a positive thing so that it doesn't feel yucky. It feels good. Knowing I'm in control, I have the power. Now, Marcy, she's a Tula uh, planner sales rep, and so she's got hers is all that paper stuff. And I know you like to use digital stuff. You like to use um, apps and stuff like that, which is fine. But I'm sure that there's probably some good budgeting apps out there that you could use. But but and I'm going to say this: there's something about pen to paper in our brain, and it has a stronger impression when you're doing the pen to paper. So just get yourself a notebook, lay it out, and just start writing down everything you know of, your rent, your utilities, those that you know right now that you have to have money for at the end of every single month. Get those down on paper and then start thinking about yesterday. Where did I go yesterday? What did I spend yesterday? Where was I yesterday? And think, oh man, yeah, I spent $50. I mean, I haven't been out to eat since COVID, really, and I went to lunch one Sunday a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine whose daughter passed away, and I hadn't been to the Applebee's for years. And I went in there and I loved their ribs, and I ordered their ribs and some fries, and I ended up paying $25 for a meal that I came home and I remember what I had that I was preparing the next day for my meal, and I'm sitting there and thinking, you know what? This meal was 1,000% better than that $25 meal I spent at Applebee's yesterday. What am I thinking? Why did I do that? I was really looking forward to it. I thought this was going to be really nice. I hadn't been to Applebee's for years. I loved their ribs, and it really wasn't as good as I remembered it. And then it was like 3 times what it was when I did go to Applebee's like 4 years ago, and it was crazy. So, but there is something about pen to paper and connecting to your brain and helping you to feel empowered. Marcy says you never know when your digital world will come crashing down, so it's best to have everything on paper as well. Yes, this is so true, Marcy. It's very true. Um, so that's what I would suggest, Alejandro, to just get started and make that commitment of tallying up the amount of money you have coming in and break down where it's going out and work on it until you feel peaceful about it. Then break it out into these are the what I call the non negotiables. This amount, because you can add it all up, this is the amount of money that I have to stay alive, to keep this house, to, to feed my family, get me to work or whatever. And then the other things you can break it out as to these are just I can brown paper bag it twice a week instead of going out for lunch when I go to work or whatever the case may be. And I know Amy's done that too, where she kind of looked at what she was spending during her lunch hour at work, and she decided I'm just going to start preparing these nice meals for myself a week ahead of time, and I have them in the fridge. I just open the fridge, grab it, and go, and saved her a lot of money just on what she was spending previously at the vending machine for snacks or, going out for lunch. And it doesn't take long for your money to turn around when you control it. Really, you'll be very surprised how quickly it'll turn around.
It's awesome that you said managing your time is about managing your activities. So you're saying
Exactly.
that managing our money is the same thing. It's managing the activities.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. But you're having power over the money because now you're choosing where you're going to spend it
Yeah.
and self disciplining yourself to hold back. Make sure, I know Dave Ramsey, he uses like an envelope system, I think, or something, where they have an envelope for savings, an envelope for household, an envelope for, different things. And if there's like there's a special thing that you guys want in your house, like we talked about a TV, we want to have a new TV. Okay, how much money do we want to spend on a TV? What kind of models are out there? And what can our budget hold? And once you make that decision, then you put down that amount of money. And then as you're working your budget, you take $25 a month or whatever that's going to go into that envelope for that TV so that when that amount ends up in that envelope that you need to spend, now you can go get the TV and it's not going to hurt your budget. Just stuff like that. I think Dave Ramsey teaches as well because he teaches children how to manage money, which if we aren't taught that, which we aren't taught in school.
Who is this person you're referring to? I'm sorry, I missed
Dave
this.
Ramsey,
Oh, who is
Dave
it?
Ram,
D-
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah. Is Dave Ramsey an author, MJ?
Is he what?
Is Dave Ramsey an author?
Oh, yeah. He's a Christian author, Christian financial guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, you can find him on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm suffering from something else. Right before we get off, I do all my journaling on my phone. I think it hasn't been a good thing. You just mentioned how, and I think Amy made reference to it. Pen to paper is still the best. I have
Exactly.
to get back to that because I'm really like everything's on my phone. My journal's on my phone, and it doesn't work really. I get up in the morning, there are no reminders that I see. The phone gives me reminders, but somehow I'm gonna have to transition to a journal for my finances and just life itself.
Yeah, I think that you'll have better luck. It's a little bit more disciplined, but and that's a piece too that we often miss is having that discipline, forcing ourselves to do things that we don't normally want to do or don't like doing. Now, Marcy does those dot grid journals. I don't like those, and I don't know if you've seen those where there's just a bunch of dots, so you can. I don't like them, but she likes them. I've tried one and I don't care for them.
I I'm studying. I also got a hold of a guy who's great at journaling. He's responsible for the bullet system in journaling.
Yeah, that's like the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, so he uses those. He uses those a
yeah,
lot. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. See, this is what I'm doing. It's just a cheap
your good
hard.
old fashioned notebook. Yeah, okay,
It says my journal on it,
right.
and I just write. And that's what I'm doing. When that gets filled up, now I'll go get a different one.
Got it.
So that's what I do. So,
Awesome session, MJ. Thank you. I got a few
mhm.
pointers from here. I got to start doing something different.
All right. And Amy says she likes the color multicolored pens. And I have colored pencils here too. Sometimes in my journal, I'll just draw a flower or something, you know, just to help color it up a little bit or underline something I want to remember with a red pencil, stuff like that. So, yeah, there's just something about pen to paper and even studying a book. I'll make notes right in the book itself and circle stuff and put a date on it and what it said to me or whatever. And pen to paper, that's the way to go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And I'll try to get this uploaded over into the group and let you know when it's there. Bye, everybody. Mwah.